I never told my daughter how much money I really had, not because I was ashamed, but because I never believed money was something that deserved noise. To her, I was just a quiet woman, someone who woke up before sunrise, returned after sunset, wore the same shoes for years, and never spoke about business, contracts, or boardrooms. She believed I barely earned enough to survive, and I let her. Because people who are truly powerful don't rush to prove it. My daughter's name was Lena. She married a man named David Collins, a man who loved labels, watches, tailored suits, luxury cars, and restaurants where the food looked like art and tasted like status. He loved money, and he was embarrassed by the idea that his wife's mother might be ordinary. One quiet afternoon, my phone rang. It was Lena. Her voice wasn't confident, it wasn't warm, it trembled. "Mum, David's parents are coming from London. They want to meet you. We're having dinner at a very nice restaurant." I could hear shame between her words. I asked her gently, "What did you tell them about me?" Silence, then a whisper. "I told them, you clean offices, part-time." I didn't react. I didn't scold her. I didn't cry. I felt something else. Curiosity. A calm, cold curiosity. I wanted to see how people who considered themselves elite treated someone they believed was nothing. So that night, I made a decision. I would become the woman they imagined. The disguise. On Saturday, I opened my old cupboard. I chose the dress I hadn't worn in years, faded grey, loose stitching, wrinkled fabric, shoes with cracked leather, no earrings, no watch, no lipstick. I tied my hair carelessly. I picked up a cheap cloth bag. I stood before the mirror. The woman looking back at me looked forgettable, invisible. The restaurant was a palace of light and glass. Soft music floated between tables. Crystals sparkled. People spoke in low voices, wearing high lives on their faces. When I walked in, heads turned. Not because I looked important, but because I looked out of place. And then I saw them. David, nervous, straight-backed, trying to look proud. Lena, standing beside him, trying not to look ashamed. And then the two people who believed they owned the world. Mr. Collins, tall, cold, eyes like calculations. Margaret Collins, diamonds around her neck, wrists and fingers, but ice in her heart. Margaret looked at me, once, slowly, from my shoes to my face, and in that single moment made a decision about my worth. She didn't stand, she didn't smile, she didn't welcome me. She whispered to the waiter, "Give her something simple. She won't understand the menu." The first humiliation. No one pulled my chair. No one asked how I was. They talked only of their mansions, their European trips, their luxury cars, their servants, their investments. Not once did they ask about my life. Then came the knife. "So, what do you do?" Margaret asked. I lowered my eyes, softened my voice. "I clean offices." Her lips curled, not into kindness, into superiority. Respectable. In its own way. Why I was really there after dessert, Margaret leaned forward. Her voice dropped to something serious. "There is something important we need to discuss." She looked at me like a problem. "You live alone. You have no savings. We believe you are a burden on Lena's marriage." The word burden sat on the table like broken glass. My hands rested calmly in my lap. My face remained soft. She continued, "We are willing to give you $500 a month." Her eyes remained fixed on me. "If you reduce contact with them, don't visit, don't call, don't belong." They were offering to buy my silence, to buy my absence. That's when I raised my head. That's when my voice stopped trembling and began to cut. "You want to buy my silence with $500? They blinked, confused. I opened my bag, slowly, took out my phone, put it on the table, pressed speaker, one simple call. "Cancel the Collins family's pending loan request." There was a pause, then a male voice answered, "Yes, Madame Director, the $3.2 million loan has been withdrawn." The world stopped breathing. Margaret's diamonds felt heavy. Mr. Collins stood up like air had left his body. David gripped the table. Lena's eyes filled with tears. I stood slowly, adjusted my cheap dress, looked at the people who tried to buy my dignity. "You thought I was just a cleaner," I said softly. "But you just spoke to the woman who controls your future." And the room froze. The restaurant was silent, not peaceful silent, dangerous silent, the kind of silence that comes before a storm. Mr. Collins's voice cracked. Who are you?" I gently placed my phone on the table. "Someone you should have treated better." Margaret tried to laugh, a fake laugh, a broken laugh. "That's not funny." I didn't smile. "Nothing about me is funny. Truth.